Welcome to AI Daily Deep Dive. You ready for this? Today's deep dive is completely researched and generated by AI.
Wow, AI taking over the news now, huh?
I know, right? Pretty meta. So, are you ready to dive into the top AI news for today, February 10th, 2025?
Definitely. Buckle up, everyone. This is going to be a wild ride.
Let's start with, the AI Action Summit happening right now in Paris.
Yeah, over 1,500 people from 100 countries all gathered to talk about AI. It's huge.
I mean, world leaders, tech giants, researchers.
A whole shebang really highlights the global push for ethical and equitable AI development.
Like the world's trying to set some ground rules before things get, I don't know.
Out of control. Yeah, but there's definitely some disagreement on what those rules should be. You've got like the US and the UK pushing for a framework based on Western liberal democratic values, but other nations like China might have different priorities.
Right, so we could end up with a bunch of different AI rule books.
Yeah, potentially. And that raises some big questions, like could this hinder international collaboration or slow down progress? What happens if, say, one region has strict regulations, but another one is more hands-off?
Lots to unpack there. Speaking of unpacking, Macron just secured $109 billion in private investments for French AI projects.
That's billion with a B.
Big money.
Yeah. And 50 billion of that is coming from the UAE for a massive AI campus in France. France is really aiming to be a major player in the AI arena.
Especially when you consider the U.S. has their Stargate project, which is a $500 billion investment.
Right. And then you have China with their DeepSeek model, which they're developing much more cost effectively. It's becoming a global AI race, really.
Makes you wonder who's going to cross the finish line first. But back to the summit.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's some tensions brewing there, right?
Definitely some interesting dynamics at play. You have European startups pushing for deregulation so they can keep pace. And then you've got cultural organizations demanding ethical guidelines to protect their intellectual property.
And groups like Algorithm Watch are sounding the alarm about the environmental impact of this bigger is better AI development mentality.
A lot of competing interests, for sure.
Absolutely. But there were some positive developments, too, like the current AI coalition. 9 nations, including France and Germany, joined forces, put $2.5 billion toward democratizing access to AI datasets, especially in health and education.
Sounds promising.
Definitely a step towards making AI more transparent and safer for everyone. And the UN Secretary General is also getting involved, proposing non-binding AI guidelines for global harmonization. So there's definitely some movement on the global stage to shape the future of AI.
Okay, so lots happening on a global scale. But let's, zoom in a little, see how AI might be affecting us on an individual level.
All right.
Because there's this study from Microsoft and Carnegie Mellon University, and it suggests that as we rely more on AI at work, our critical thinking skills might actually decline.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Are you saying AI could make us less intelligent?
It's a bold statement, I know. They looked at 319 knowledge workers and over 900 real-world examples of AI use. And what they found is that people with more confidence in AI tools were actually less critical when completing tasks.
That's kind of unsettling.
Right. You'd think AI would make us more efficient, not less. But the researchers think that when we rely too much on AI, we kind of shift our mental energy away from actually doing the task and just focus on supervising the AI.
So we become more passive in our thinking.
Exactly. And, over time, this could lead to, a decline in our problem-solving abilities. The study also found that those with AI access produced less diverse outcomes, indicating a decline in independent judgment and personalized critical thinking.
So is the takeaway here to just ditch AI altogether?
No, not at all. The researchers actually call for AI tools to be designed in a way that encourages critical thinking.
So, instead of AI dumbing us down, it should actually help us sharpen our minds.
Exactly. Like incorporating features that explain the AI's reasoning or offering guided critiques. It's about using AI as a partner, not a crutch.
This makes me think about how people have always been a little wary of new technologies. Like even Socrates back in the day was worried about writing making people forgetful.
It's a classic fear. From writing to the printing press to the internet, there's always this worry about technology reshaping our minds.
So the big question is, can we harness the power of AI without, losing our own smarts in the process?
It's the million-dollar question, one we need to be thinking about for sure. But let's shift gears for a second and talk about how AI is shaking things up in the art world.
Oh, yeah, the augmented intelligence auction at Christie's.
Big controversy.
It's causing a major uproar among artists.
thousands are demanding it be canceled, claiming AI art is just mass theft.
Stealing. What are they accusing AI of stealing exactly?
Their argument is that some of the AI models used to create the art being auctioned were trained on copyrighted works.
Without permission, of course.
Of course. So it's like these AI systems are plagiarizing human artists. Raises the question, who owns the rights to AI-generated art if it's based on someone else's work?
Tricky question.
Very tricky. And Christie's is defending the auction, saying that in most cases, the AI models were trained on the artist's own inputs, not stolen art.
Okay, but that doesn't address the fact that these AI models could still be trained on tons of copyrighted material without proper licensing.
That's right. It's a very complex issue. And to make things even more interesting, some of the artists whose work is in the auction are defending the use of AI in art.
Wait, so it's not just artists versus AI?
Not at all. For example, British artist Matt Dryhurst is using AI to explore how his wife's concepts show up in public AI models. And Rifik Anadol calls the backlash lazy critic practices and doomsday hysteria.
Wow, so there's a real divide within the art world.
Yeah, a big one. Some see AI as a threat, while others see it as a powerful tool for artistic exploration.
I guess this reflects a bigger shift in how we think about art and creativity in the digital age.
Definitely. It's a conversation that'll only get more heated as AI technology advances.
For sure. Let's move on to something less controversial but equally important. AI's role in fighting fraud in healthcare.
Right.
I've read that AI can help spot, those shady billing practices that cost the healthcare system billions each year.
We're talking about fraud, waste, and abuse, or FWA.
Yeah, FWA.
It's a massive problem.
How massive are we talking?
The U.S. healthcare system loses a staggering $144 billion annually to FWA.
Wow, that's a lot of money. So how does AI come into play here?
AI can analyze massive amounts of data and spot those suspicious patterns that humans might miss.
So it's like having, a superpower detective on the case.
Exactly.
But can AI really replace human investigators altogether?
It's more of a partnership. AI makes investigators more efficient and accurate, but they still need human expertise for the nuances of each case.
Right, AI is the sidekick, not the boss. Okay, so we've talked about AI fighting bad guys, but now let's talk about a less heroic application of AI, shall we?
Uh-oh. Where are we going with this?
AI therapy.
Ah, yes.
It seems kind of unnerving, honestly.
It definitely raises some eyebrows. We're seeing more AI systems posing as human therapists and other healthcare professionals.
So, you could be chatting with a chatbot, thinking it's a real person.
Exactly. And that's why California is considering a bill to ban companies from developing AI systems that pretend to be licensed health providers.
Makes sense.
They're basically trying to stop AI therapy before it gets out of hand.
What's the main argument against it?
Well, the folks pushing for the bill argue that AI shouldn't be allowed to deceive people into thinking they're interacting with a real professional, especially for sensitive stuff like mental health.
It's a valid point. There's a big difference between venting to a chatbot and having a real therapeutic relationship.
Right. Plus, there are worries about potential biases in the AI, privacy issues, and, the possibility of harm if the AI gives bad advice.
I remember reading about those cases where people died by suicide after interacting with AI chatbots.
Yeah, tragically it's happened. Definitely adds fuel to the fire when discussing the ethics of AI therapy.
It sounds like there are some really serious risks we need to think about.
Definitely. This is where responsible AI development comes in. We need to think carefully about the consequences of these technologies and put safeguards in place.
Sounds like we're at a crossroads with AI. So much potential for good, but also some big risks.
It's a balancing act, that's for sure. And speaking of balancing, let's talk about a risk that often gets overlooked: AI's massive energy consumption.
Oh, right. AI uses a lot of energy, doesn't it?
A lot. As AI adoption explodes, it's putting a huge strain on power grids.
Are we talking higher electricity bills or something more serious?
We could be talking about blackouts and energy rationing, especially as AI systems get more powerful.
I had no idea it was that serious.
Oh, yeah. The U.S. Stargate Initiative, for example, a $500 billion project focused on AI infrastructure, will require adding, get this, 50 to 100 gigawatts of new IT capacity every year for the next 7 to 8 years.
Hold on, is that like building 50 Hoover dams every year just to power AI?
Pretty much. And that's just one project. Imagine all the other AI initiatives around the world.
Yikes. Sounds like we're headed for a major energy crisis.
We could be if we don't find a way to make AI more sustainable.
So what are people doing about it?
Researchers and companies are looking into everything from nuclear power to placing data centers near power plants to using AI itself to optimize energy consumption.
So there's hope.
There is. But it'll take a lot of collaboration, innovation, and commitment to sustainability.
We've covered a lot today. Global AI governance, AI's impact on our intelligence, the debate about AI art, the potential of AI to fight fraud, the risks of AI posing as therapists, and the challenge of AI's power consumption.
Yeah,
It seems like AI is reshaping our world in big ways, but it's not without its challenges.
it's true. And what's crazy is that all of this news is happening on a single day.
Makes you realize how quickly things are moving in the AI world. It's a lot to keep up with.
Definitely. But hey, it's an exciting time to be following AI. Right.
For sure. But it's also a time that demands careful attention and consideration. Lots of tough questions to be asking.
Definitely. It is, yeah. And while we're on the topic of shaping the future, let's go back to that AI Action Summit for a sec. All this talk about ethical frameworks and global collaboration is great, but I don't know. What about the money? What kind of investments are we actually talking about?
Well, you mentioned Macron securing that 109 billion euros for French AI projects.
Right, a hefty sum for sure. And 50 billion of that is coming from the UAE, remember, for that massive AI campus we talked about. Macron's even calling AI development a matter of European, patriotism. He's urging nations to create their own solutions instead of relying on, say, the US or China.
So there's a geopolitical element to this AI race, too.
Absolutely. Remember the US Stardate project, the $500 billion one? And China's DeepSeek model, they're developing that at a much lower cost. It's a global race for, AI dominance.
Like we're heading toward a multipolar world of AI, with different regions competing for leadership.
You got it. And that competition has implications for everything. Technological advancement, economic growth, even national security.
High stakes indeed. So any other big announcements or initiatives from the summit that caught your attention?
Well, besides the current AI coalition, the UN Secretary-General Guterres proposed some non-binding guidelines for AI governance. He's pushing for global harmonization and stressed, including developing nations and shaping AI's future.
That's important. We need to make sure everyone benefits from AI and has a say in its development, right?
Exactly. Oh, and there were some interesting developments on the defense side of things. France unveiled their plans for a defense AI agency to lessen their dependence on foreign tech, they said.
So AI is playing a bigger role in military strategy and national security.
Yeah, definitely. Another area where we're likely to see more competition, maybe even some tension between nations.
It's wild how AI is intertwined with so many aspects of our lives, from the everyday stuff to, groundbreaking changes. But with all this talk about the potential and the risks, it's easy to forget about the practical ways AI is already making a difference for people.
You're right. And one area where AI is having a real impact is healthcare. We already talked about fraud, but it's also helping improve diagnoses, develop new treatments, even personalize patient care.
I've read about those AI systems that analyze medical images,
Wow.
way better than humans. They can detect cancer earlier and more accurately.
It's amazing, right? And AI is being used to develop new drugs and therapies, too, potentially leading to breakthroughs in treating diseases that have plagued us forever.
So even with concerns about AI and healthcare, like the AI therapy stuff we discussed, there's huge potential for good, too.
Big time. And it's not just healthcare. AI is revolutionizing education, transportation, finance, you name it.
Sounds like there isn't a field that AI won't touch in some way.
I think you're right, and the speed of these innovations is only getting faster. New breakthroughs popping up every day.
It's both exciting and kind of overwhelming. So with everything moving so fast, what can people do to get ready for this, AI-powered future? Should we all learn to code or something?
People ask me that all the time. While technical skills are important, I think the key thing is to develop those critical thinking skills we talked about,
Yeah.
and a healthy dose of adaptability.
So being able to analyze information, solve problems, learn new stuff quickly, those kinds of things.
Exactly. Those are the skills that will really matter in a world where tech is constantly changing and the job market is in constant flux. It's less about mastering specific technologies and more about cultivating a mindset of lifelong learning, being okay with change.
So it's not just about what we know, but how we think and how we learn. It's a whole new way of approaching things.
You got it. And that's a message we need to spread to everyone. Students, workers, even policymakers, we need to get comfy with ambiguity, be willing to experiment, and stay open to new ideas.
That's a powerful message. And a little daunting, if I'm being honest.
I get it. It can feel overwhelming. But navigating the world of AI will require more than just technical know-how. It needs a fundamental shift in how we approach learning and problem solving.
And while that might seem scary, it's also kind of exciting.
Right.
I think so.
AI is pushing us to evolve, to think differently, to engage with the world in new ways. We just gotta embrace it.
All right, so we've covered a lot today. From global summits and billions of dollars to questions about art and even the meaning of being human. It's clear that AI is a force to be reckoned with, and the decisions we make today will shape the future.
They really will. And the biggest takeaway for me is that we're not just passive bystanders in all this. We can actively shape the future of AI, make sure it's used ethically, responsibly, for the good of everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the AI world.
It's been a pleasure, really. And remember, the future is unwritten. We get to write it.
Powerful stuff. Thanks again, and until next time, stay curious.
It really is. And speaking of the future, let's zoom out for a sec. Think big picture, We've talked geopolitics, the economic side of AI. But what about, I don't know, the world we're building with all this? What's going to look like?
Honestly. That's a question that keeps me up at night sometimes. So much innovation happening so fast, it's hard to grasp what it all means long term,
Totally get it. That's whoa, hold on a sec. But here's the thing. The future isn't pre-programmed. We're actively shaping it every day. Every decision, every tech we develop, every policy we put in place, it's on us.
So it's not about just reacting to what's happening. We got to be proactive, steer things in the right direction.
Exactly. And that means having the tough conversations. What values do we want AI to reflect? What are the ethical lines in the sand? What could go wrong? And how do we prevent it?
It's a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
And it's not just on the tech people, right?
Definitely not. Policymakers, business leaders, artists, educators, everyone. We got to be in this together, figuring out how to build an AI future that benefits, well, everyone.
Okay, so shaping the future. And that brings us back to something we touched on earlier, AI's potential impact on our, brain power.
Right, that Microsoft study.
The idea that AI could make us, less intelligent is a little freaky, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mind bender. But think of it this way. It's a challenge and an opportunity all rolled into one. The challenge is designing AI tools that, boost our abilities, not replace them. The opportunity to use AI to push the limits of human intelligence, help us think in new ways, solve those impossible problems.
So not fearing AI as a threat, but embracing it as a partner to expand what our brains can do.
Exactly. Imagine a world where AI helps us overcome those biases we all have. Enhances creativity, unlocks new problem-solving skills. That's the future I think we can aim for.
Sounds pretty awesome. But how do we get there?
Well, first things first, education is key. We got to equip people with the, critical thinking skills, that adaptability they'll need to succeed in this new world. Plus, invest in research that puts AI safety and ethics front and center. Think long-term.
So investing in people and the tech itself, making sure it's developed the right way.
Yep. And we can't forget about good old-fashioned conversation. We need folks from all walks of life, Scientists, ethicists, artists, everyday people, all talking about this stuff, openly and honestly. That's how we make sure AI serves humanity, not the other way around.
Building a positive AI future means a whole bunch of things happening at once.
Yeah.
Education, innovation, ethics, lots of discussion. It's a lot.
It is, yeah. But it's doable. We can all contribute, Learn about AI, talk about it, support the folks doing it right. Even just being mindful of how we use AI in our own lives, that makes a difference.
It's kind of cool to think that even small actions can help shape such a powerful technology.
I think so, too. It's all about collective effort, right? Every voice matters.
Wow, this has been really thought-provoking. We've covered global summits, ethical dilemmas, the future of healthcare, even what it means to be human in this age of AI. It's clear this tech is transforming everything. And the choices we make today will ripple out for, a long time.
Couldn't agree more. It's been a great conversation. I hope it inspires our listeners to keep exploring this world, with an open mind, a critical eye, and a sense of wonder.
Beautifully said. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. It's been a pleasure.
The pleasure was all mine. And until next time, stay curious, everyone.